Hi everyone, and welcome back to Ladies Let's Talk Business with myself, Faustina Anyam on Fonte Show. Today, my aim is to help educate as many women as possible. We all know that our health is our wealth. So, in this time of this period of pandemic, it's very important as women that we get the right information so that we are able to guide people around us. We are able to guide our family on the right path. There's been a lot of conspiracies, propagandas, and fake news all over the place, which rightly can make anyone become fearful. So I'm here today to try to allay your anxieties and try to help you make, make a wrap around to understand to understanding what is happening and how to respond to it, and also to make sure that as many women as possible are able to be in control rather than be overly reactive. Now, first of all, there's one conspiracy going about that um, 5G network is causing coronavirus. Let me tell you quickly, that is wrong. You know, the 5G network could have its side effects in terms of radiation and everything. I'm not going to go into that today, but what I'm going to tell you, it is not causing coronavirus. Secondly, there's also conspiracy or propaganda going about which says, tries to compare coronavirus with things like HIV, malaria, poverty, children dying, and so many other things that could kill. You know, what I'm going to tell you now is it's dangerous to compare a pandemic with an endemic situation. Why is it a pandemic? This is a pandemic. Coronavirus is a pandemic, which is quite rightly what makes it priority at the moment, and why the media, everybody is trying to communicate. One is a new disease, a new highly contagious disease that is the mortality rate is quite high, and at the moment there is no cure, and also doctors, scientists are not yet able to know the dynamics of the infection. You can see from time to time, you hear different. Today they'll tell you that it's not in the air, you can't get it from the air. The next day you hear that even breathing around you somebody that's that has the infection is around you, their breathing alone, you could get it from it. So there are a lot of things, confusions about how this is transmitted. Now, going back in time, you know, this is not the first time that the world is seeing pandemic of this virus nature. So there's been influenza, which killed over 50 million people. There's been what's it called, smallpox. There's been even SARS in was 2002 or so. So virus epidemics and pandemics has been there, and an epidemic becomes pandemic when it gets across continents, when it's not localized, when a new infection outbreak of infection is not localized to a particular geographical area, but it goes worldwide, or it goes intercontinental, or goes to several countries. So that is when World Health Organization declares a disease a pandemic. Now, coronavirus is highly what's it called, it kills like quickly. We have read news of where people within 7 days, within 3 days of contracting it, or knowing that they contracted it, they're already dead. And it's not all bad news. People are also surviving from it. So, but the important thing here is, how can you prevent the spread? And that is what many governments around the world are doing. Now, if you can also go back in time with me to see how were all the other pandemics in history, how were they handled? you know Now, any infectious disease, how does it stop? How can you stop it? The only way to stop it until there is vaccine or cure is to stop it, is by stopping the spread. And that is why governments are telling people, stay indoors, stay in your house, so that you know so that when this person, if this person doesn't move, if this is coming, let's say this is the fire coming, it gets here, there's no other thing to help it, catch the fire. Here, that this space here makes this fire not to continue to spread. And this is exactly what is being done now, so that you not socializing with this group of people, then this disease is going to end with this group of people who has already got it. So that is why it's very important that we adhere to the social distancing, try as much as possible to isolate, and try as much as possible to minimize, our why we have to come out of our homes. And in my own house particularly, what we are doing, which I believe, which I want to share with you in case anyone it might be useful to you, is we make sure only my husband goes out for any need that we're going to want, anything that we're going to need in the house. He's the only one that goes out, from time to time to get those, few things that you might need from time to time. And then when he comes back, we make sure that every single thing that he brings into the house is washed immediately. And I make sure the children don't come near it. So I handle it. I make sure that everything is cleaned and everything is washed and then put away. And then he himself goes immediately, without making any contact with me. He goes immediately, takes his shower, changes his clothes. We make sure we wash, the clothes that he went out with. And then he isolates himself for a few hours in case any of the viruses are still, around the surface of his body or something, so that after 3 hours, most of the bacteria would die off. So these are things, measures we try to take. Now, why am I saying this thing now? I'm saying this thing because you, as a woman, you are a leader. You, as a mother, you are a leader. You, as a sister, you are a leader. You, as an entrepreneur, you are a leader. So you have a responsibility to make sure that the right information is put out there, to make sure that more lives are saved, to make sure that people are educated and people understand why it is necessary for us to focus on prevention, focus on trying our best to make sure that this disease, is eradicated as quickly as possible, or at least that the spread is controlled until there's a cure or there's a vaccine for it. So I hope that that is important to you and that you've grasped what I'm trying to say. And if you have any more questions regarding that, what you can do, what you cannot do, then you can always get in touch with me and we can take it off from there. Then another thing is, we must, as women, we must stop the spread of false, unverified, information, news, messages. I have had to block a lot of people on my WhatsApp simply because they keep forwarding something, forwarded as received. We are not that ignorant at this point in time. You cannot forward something as received when you haven't verified what it is, or you are not the original, writer of such views. Now, if you're not sure of a view, and the circulation of that unverified, fake, or conspiracy information, stop it right there and don't forward as you receive. Because the more you forward whatever you receive, the more fear and misinformation you keep on creating in the community, and the more you endanger the lives of people around you and your loved ones. So always try your best to verify whatever information you get before you forward it to the next person. And if you can't verify it, then don't forward it. Or if at all you want to forward it, then you can send it to somebody and make a comment about it and say, I got this and I'm not sure of it. And then you can open a channel so that you can discuss it with your fellow woman, and people can come to a place where you either discard that information or She can help you dig deeper on that, on that whatever information that is. And that is that. And then there's a friend sent me a kind of pie chart which really summarizes the situation we are in now. As humans, we react to our environment, which is quite, you know, um, normal for every human being to react in so many different ways. But now when your reaction goes overt, and you are no longer in control, it begins to cause much problem for yourself. Even some people will even do things that will even kill them before the virus comes. For example, we've seen some families in Nigeria or so who took chloroquine, overdosage of chloroquine, which wiped out the husband, the wife, and their little child. So it's important that we become more rational. So, in that pie chart, we have, in the innermost circle is you. And then if you step out to the next part of the circle, you have the fear zone, where when quite rightly you're supposed to be afraid at the break of this news. But then at this point in time now, you're supposed to have moved away from this fear zone to another zone. If you're still in the fearful zone, that means there's a problem. You need to seek counsel, seek people to talk about your fears, talk to people so that people can help you understand your feelings, your emotions, and be able to allay your anxieties. Now, on that fear zone, that is where people, everything they see, they keep sharing, they keep panicking, they keep, stockpiling, they keep running around, they don't know what to do, they're confused, they go into a meltdown. Now, by now, I hope that everybody have moved away from there. The next step will be your learning zone. Now, at this learning zone is one of the safest zones. You can stay a bit longer on the learning zone, trying to understand, trying to make sense of what is happening, trying to understand what does it mean to you, trying to debunk some of the things that the news and everything begin to filter what is happening, and be able to make sense of it, and be able to put your place in order. For example, for us now in the UK, we now know that at least the major grocery shops are open. So you can always go to the shop and buy your salt, your tissue paper, your soap, whatever you need. So there's no need panicking about it. So it's now left for you to, pace out how often do you want to be going there, how often do you want to expose yourself, what and what do you need frequently, and when do you need them, and how do you go about it. Then you'll be able to plan yourself and your money. And then in this learning zone, you know, that is when you are able to now, when people send you any information, you are able to check properly. You are able to say, please don't send me this, or you're able to teach that person and say, no, this is a wrong information, don't send it anymore. Or you begin to take action to either make your zone, make your space as clean as possible, even if it means blocking people who are sending all those random things, even if it means telling them off, even if it means however you want to take action to keep yourself, your mind, as sane as possible. That would be good. Now, and this is where entrepreneurs, the next zone is where any entrepreneur should be aiming to be right now. That zone is the growth zone. Now, this pandemic is here, is killing people, you know and we don't know how long it's going to last. We don't know what is next. So how are you going to continue your life? How are you going to continue to make your life worthwhile, even when you are still isolated? So that is where the growth zone comes. Now you begin to use your mind to plot, to think strategies, to try to create your world around what the word is giving you at the moment. Now that is when, when we say do what you can with what you have, this is practically when it happens. This is the survival, or the success zone for most people, because when you have studied the pattern of what is happening, and found you've been able to find a way to cope and be able to move about your life, then you're able to now begin to know, how can I still serve my people within this time? What can I offer people? How can I help? By the time you begin to ask yourself, how can I help people at this time, that is when you see that you begin to grow beyond this pandemic. Because you can only do what you can do. What you can do is, one, you take the steps to make sure that you prevent getting it. Now, if by God's grace you don't get it, great. Then, but if you do get it, then what is the next thing you're going to do to make sure that, it doesn't kill you? So if it doesn't kill you, that means you're here now. You didn't get it or it didn't kill you. That means you're here. That is great. Now, but for those, unfortunately, some, people are dying every day, and it's so heartbreaking that people are dying. But for us who are still alive, how can we help ourselves? How can we help our family? What other skills can you learn now that will help you? What other services can you render at this point in time? This is where the growth zone begins. And this is where I come in myself. Now, for the past 3, 4, 5 years now, I've been running a lot of mentoring and everything, on coaching, on entrepreneurship, especially for women, helping women to work out how to, be their optimal, have optimal production working from home. I have worked from home for the past 8 good years, and I run um, 3 different brands of businesses, and they're all doing very well, global businesses. Now, this is opportunity for you to now, you know, begin to practice it and learn it, and this is time for you to sit down and understand how you, as a mother, as a woman, as an entrepreneur, how can I now use this opportunity to learn the skills that I require to move on? How about this pandemic lasts for 1 year? Are you going to still be in the fear and being scared and not knowing what to do in that confusion state? No. So this is the time for you now to step out of your comfort zone, make the best of it. Sitting in your own own house, and begin to grow the skills you need for your own growth, both for your mind and your health and your physical health and your financial growth. This is the time. So if you would like to join in with my mentoring section, I have the first generation entrepreneur mentoring section,